It's not like they're the origins of Aerosmith, you know what I mean? This was like art. And they had a lot of problems throughout because of that, you know, because they were always pushing boundaries even of what rock and roll is. That primal investigation continued always through the Stooges, you know.
I'm Kim Taylor Bennett, and welcome to this episode of Vice Talks Film. Today I'm joined by director Jim Jarmusch and Iggy Pop. Together they've been working on a documentary for the past 8 years about the Stooges. It's called Gimme Danger.
If I hit here, you'll get all three cameras. We ready? We are in an undisclosed location, interrogating Jim Osterberg about the Stooges, the greatest rock and roll band ever.
Iggy and the Stooges reinvented music as we know it.
We weren't like the other bands.
A feeling come over you with this great sound that we're making, and sometimes I would just hammer on my guitar.
I just started jumping up and down like baboons do before they're gonna fight. As soon as I started doing that, we were real communists. We lived in a communal house. We shared all money. And when we began to write songs, we shared authorship. When I was a little boy, the Ford Motor Company, they had a machine that engineered a drop, a mega clang. I thought we should get some of that in our songs.
We were just left without any adult supervision. I mean, we just did our thing.
We bumbled around America, playing raggedly. Some gigs I could get it together to sing, some I couldn't, upsetting people wherever we went.
Thank you very much to the person who threw this glass bottle at my head. Nearly killed me, but you missed again. So keep trying next week.
Do you feel you've influenced anybody?
I think I helped wipe out the 60s. I don't want to belong to the glam people, alternative people, to any of it. I don't want to be a punk. I just want to be.
Well, thanks so much for joining me today, guys.
Hey, nice to be here.
So you guys initially met 25 years ago. What were your first impressions of each other when you first clapped eyes?
I felt like I knew him from his films and Permanent Vacation. Especially I liked the whining guy, you know. I loved him so much. And then, you know, I saw Stranger Than Paradise. I started thinking, what, you don't like Florida? All right, okay.
Took that personally.
Okay, when I meet him, don't talk about Florida.
And me, I was a fan. I've been a Stooges fan since I first heard the Stooges. I was like 16. So I tried to, be cool about it and not be like, it's Iggy Pop. And then, but because we're both from the Midwest, that was very easy. Like right away, then it was like, oh wow, he's Iggy Pop, but he's totally cool, you know? You don't have to worry about being starstruck or anything.
Yeah, he just put you at ease.
Yeah, so then it was fine.
What made you want to entrust your story with Jim? What was it about his filmmaking and maybe your relationship?
Here was somebody who always has final cut, is his own person. So that was also a central element in the group. We were our own people. Music was made our way, nobody else's way. He knew all about the group, and he knows a lot. He knows more good music than I do.
I don't know about
But
that.
we have a large musical knowledge.
But I'm learning from his radio show, so I don't know about that.
So.
I thought it was important, and it's in the film, for people to understand that the Stooges came from a place where Iggy was very knowledgeable of all kinds of music from working in the Discount Record Store, it's called, in Ann Arbor. He knew about avant-garde music, outside jazz, all kinds of stuff. This didn't start with a group of guys in a basement trying to imitate the Rolling Stones. No. It started in a kind of avant noise band investigating the parameters of kind of what now you would call avant rock. But this isn't starting in 1966 or whenever you guys started.
And where did you guys start with this? Like how, you know, the archival in it is incredible, but it's like hard to find that stuff, I imagine.
Yeah, well, we started first with a long interrogation, which I will call an interrogation, of Jim. And we filmed it one day for like 10 hours, and then we came back the next day for another like 4 hours, kind of burned him out. And then I had on paper this whole transcript of this interrogation. And it wasn't necessarily chronological, but then I started sort of editing the thing on paper and using him as a oral historian of the Stooges. And then we filmed other people, the intimate people, members of the band. We didn't want critics or other musicians, really. We wanted to keep it that way. And then we had a form and we started illustrating it. But, you know, it's a kind of fan film. I didn't want to make a Jim Jarmusch-like film. It's a film celebrating the Stooges, so.
Yeah, I liked particularly the animation of you guys outside the MC5 dressing room where you're like listening to Kick Out the Jams and you're like shivering. That was.
I still remember how cold it was. It's really cold. There's a wind in the Midwest, you know, when that kicks up.
What was it like for you seeing that old performance footage on stage? I heard that you were on acid during some of those clips.
Often, yeah.
You remember that when you saw the footage?
Yes, I remembered it. I remembered how it felt. The way that usually worked was, I'm a professional, so I would drop the acid about 40 minutes before I was scheduled to get on stage, so that I wouldn't be, so that my consciousness wasn't diffuse yet. I wasn't hallucinating or anything. It was just coming on. And given my style, I'm doing something physical, a little bit athletic, I suppose. And so that keeps the acid from it wants to overtake you and take you to into a kaleidoscopic dream, right? That was a period with me from about late 1970, and it didn't last long because you can't go too far in that direction without having to put on the brakes.
Yeah, you've been going through all this stuff, all this history, all this life stuff. What kind of perspective has it given you on your career and just where you are in the world?
Well, mostly that very little of what I guess a person would call my life, or what I would call my life, very little of it is my own. That's the big thing that's kept me from writing one of those, you know, aged autobiographies, is that, because what right do I have to tell other people's stories? Because I'm all mixed up with everybody.
And Gimme Danger being a Stooges film, although Jim Osterberg's oral history is the kind of guide to the structure of it, it was very important to us to acknowledge and celebrate the Stooges, the other members, and have them represented, and give our respect to them and our celebration of them too.
It must have been incredibly emotional to finish this film and then to not be able to share it with the other members of the band.
Yes, it's the first thing I ever did. So you need to do that right. You need to do it correctly, and I was just one of the guys in the group. So I feel good about the coverage, and also I just really like the way the story's told visually, the things he did, you know.
I love that when he called the Ashton's house in the early 2000s, it was the same phone number.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
funny.
I still know it.
I love that.
I know. I've always known that one by heart. I never lost that one in my head.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Hey, thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Here we go. Painless, right?
Yeah.
Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah, better than dentistry, that's for sure.
Well, thank God. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming to this dump, the car lot.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this Art Deco decor, what a bummer.